So 3-1, congruent figures. Congruent means everything's the same. Figures means it could be any shape at all. Take that one out of here. Congruent triangles, in our cases, are triangles with the same shape. And the same size. Two triangles that have the same shape but a different size are called something else. So in this case down here, name the 3 pairs of corresponding sides. Now it's not random. All the markings here mean something. So see this side right here that has one mark, KJ? Which one over here goes with that one? GH, because of the matching mark. So we could say KJ, and you should put a bar across it because we're talking about the actual thing. KJ is congruent to GH. When you're talking about a segment, the order right here doesn't matter. If you're talking about a triangle, the order does matter. All right, find another one on your own. Which 2 sides would be congruent? Say it again. That was a yawn?
Yeah.
It sounded like something. Okay, which 2 sides would match? Pick one. Okay, well he said one said match. GI has 3 markings. GI, 3 markings goes with. Which one over here is 3 markings? JL. And it doesn't matter which order you go in. You can say LJ. Alright, so we did these 2, so what's left? IH is congruent to KL. And you do have to be careful about those markings because on some of the problems we're going to have this week, they're going to try to trick you, bless you, and make it not necessarily have matching marks. Okay, now look at the matching angles. Angle J here goes with which one? G, because they have matching marks. Angle J is congruent to angle G. This is important for what we're going to be doing later on as far as proving things. So we have to be able to use the right labels to prove things. Give me another one on your own. H is congruent to K. Good. Angle H is congruent to angle K. They have matching marks of 2. These 2 marks match that mark. And what else could you have that has matching 3 marks? I is congruent to L. Angle I is congruent to angle L. Alright, so up at the top, right in between there, let's put in the important word, the term here. An abbreviation or an acronym for it is CPCTC, and you have that already written down. But let me tell you what it means. It means if you have 2 triangles that are congruent, like these 2 here, then all of their corresponding or matching parts are congruent. So, corresponding parts matching parts, corresponding parts of what? What do you have to have in order for this whole thing to work? What's the condition? What do you have to know first? Corresponding parts of what things? What did you say, angles? Angle is part of the corresponding parts. Corresponding parts of what? Congruent triangles, that's right. Congruent shapes in general, and this one triangles, that's right. Corresponding parts of 2 congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, that's what it means. If you don't have congruent triangles, then you don't have any corresponding congruent parts. But when you have congruent triangles, then all of their corresponding parts that match up are going to be congruent as well. Corresponding parts of 2 congruent triangles are congruent as well. There you go. Okay, so I want you to notice something really important here. Please look up here. The markings matter, but this statement statement right here is extremely important as well. The statement right here. Triangle ZPL is going to be the triangle NHW. They have to go in the right order. So look how Z is the first letter and N is the first letter. That means they go together. See how Z has one mark and N has one mark. Everything matters. The markings and the order of the letters. Up here, which angle do you think would go with L without looking at the marks? Which angle on this side would go with the L? W. And that's true because look, L and W both have matching marks. Goes the same thing for sides. The order matters. HW, side HW goes with which one over here? PL. Okay, so that matters, the order of it. So if you look at this one just really quickly, if I give you angle L, you'll give me what? Angle L is right here. Angle W. That's where the matching marks are, and L and W are matching parts over there. I give you angle P, you give me angle H. They have matching marks, and they're both in the middle. P and H are both in the middle. I give you angle Z, you give me angle N, they match, and they're both in the first spots. That matters. Let's do some sides. Sometimes sides are a little bit harder to see. I give you side PZ, which is right here also. Which side do you give me? HN or NH. That's right. They both have 3 marks. I give you PL, HW. They have matching marks, but also PL are the second and the third, so are the H and the W. And the last one, I give you LZ with 2 marks that goes first and last. LZ, what do you give me? NW. Okay. So that's something that you just need to be prepared to always find the matching marks. Okay? And look at the order of the letters. C, D, E, H, I, J. C would go with which letter? H. D would go with I. If I give you side DE, what side will you give me? IJ. Alright, so we're looking at this case. We know something about side DE, and we know something about side IJ. So let's look at those. DE is right here, and IJ is right here. That's an indicator that DE is congruent to IJ. Notice I didn't use the mark congruent, so I didn't put the bar across the top. Be aware of that. Alright, so then look at the information given. Give me an equation. If DE is equal to IJ, make an equation here. Perfect. Okay, but that only works if you're given somewhere as a fact that the two are congruent to begin with. So now we solved that. Minus 7x on both sides makes 2x. And then when you divide by 2, x equals 1.5. Not done question. They did tell us to find x. They also told us to find DE. So I'm going to go to DE. DE equals 9x. That was given to me right here. 9 times 1.5. 1 times 9 is 9. Half of 9 is 4.5. So that'd be 9 plus 4.5, 13. Great, that's the idea of how those work. You don't use what? Some space there. There's a little space there. Alright, number 2. This one we won't need much space for. We want to find angle X right here. Now you can't assume anything. When you're in Math 2, you can't assume anything. You have to go by what you know. So E is right here. Looking down here, which one should E go with? The M. So that's how we know. E is congruent to M, so X equals what? 39. Okay, you have to have either a marking or a statement in order to let you know that. You can't just assume it. The next one. We're trying to find X, which is right here on RP. RP is the first and the last letter. What side does it go with over here? AC. AC, the first and the last. So it's going to be going with this one. RP is congruent to AC, so X equals Questions on that? Okay, and the last of this kind of problem, let's do together, number 4. If polygon LMNP is congruent to polygon EFGH, identify all the pairs of corresponding congruent parts. So there's sides, and then there's angles. Whoops. All right, so I'll start you off. For the sides, LM is congruent to what? You're doing it without a picture this time. LM is congruent to EF. And for the angles, give me one pair of matching angles. Angle H is congruent to, angle H is congruent to angle P. Okay, there's 3 more of each. Work on that for a second. Try to find all the possibilities. All right, let's check what you've got here. If you didn't get them, then mark them in with us. It's all about the order of the letters given to you. LM equals EF. We also know that MN, the middle 2 letters, is going to be equal to the middle 2 letters on the other side. So what are the 2 middle letters? FG. And now we also have NP, the last 2 letters. On one of them goes with which one's on the other side? GH. EH, the first and the last, will go on this side. And which one does that go with on the first one? EH is the first last.
Is that a V or a G?
This? It's a G. G, H. LP, LP is on this side. The letters are a little bit easier because you don't have to look for a combination. Angle M, the second one is clearly equal to the second one here, angle F. The third one, angle N, is equal to which one? G, the third one on the other side. And P is equal to H. So you just need to be able to find the corresponding parts or else put them together. Okay, this is called the third angles theorem. If you have 2 triangles where 2 of them are the same, 85 matches 85 and 65 matches 65, both of those angles are going to match because you're going to subtract them from 180. So this is what? 150? So what would this angle be? 30. And so would this one. This one would have to be 30 also because you're subtracting 2 things from the same thing. That's called the third angles rule. So look down at your paper right there. And let's deal with that. Third angle theorem. If you already know the 2 angles in a theorem or in 2 triangles match, then you automatically know that the third angles in the triangles are congruent as well. Okay, so this angle also has to be this angle, and you can prove that by subtracting from 180. But right now, it's a rule that you can use without having to prove it. So the criteria is you have to somehow find out if 2 angles are already the same, then you're allowed to make the third angle equal as well. So let's use that on the bottom. Notice that N matches S, M matches R. The letters are different, but we know that angle P has to be congruent to angle T. Because when 2 angles in a triangle are congruent, then the third pairs of angles are congruent as well. So we know that this one is going to equal this one. So let's go ahead and set that up and solve it. Angle P is 2x squared. Angle T is 4x squared minus 32. First thing I would do is move 4x squared over. I can't move 2x over because that would leave me with nothing there. So subtract 4x squared. Subtract 4x squared. You have negative 2x squared equals negative 32. Then what? Divide by negative 2. X squared equals 16. Can anybody tell me what x is going to equal? 4 or negative 4, technically. Positive 4 or negative 4. When you plug it into these pictures, it comes out positive because you're always going to be squaring it, so it works out either way. Alright, so now angle P is going to be 2 times 4 squared. What do you do first? 2 times 8 or 4 squared? 4 squared is 16. 16 times 2 is 32 degrees for this one. Do this one. 4 times 4 squared minus 32. 16 times 4. Is it 56?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's 64. Yeah, it's 64. Okay, and then subtract 32 from that, minus 32, and you, of course, get 32 degrees, so those two equal the same thing. They work. All right, I'll do the last two with you, and then you're on your own. Number 6. First thing is, you have to know for a reason. This was the third angle theorem. You have to know which angles absolutely are congruent to each other for a reason. So we're trying to find angle E and G. Let's see what relationship we have. We have one pair of matching angles here. Do we have a second pair of matching angles? Where? These vertical angles, right? These two angles automatically match without them having to tell us. So by the third angles theorem, when two pairs of angles match already, then the third one matches as well. Angle E is congruent to which one? Angle G. So you plug it in. E is 6x minus 4, and G is 5x plus 4. And you solve, and then you plug it in. So minus 5x plus 4 x equals 8. That's what I got. Did someone get anything different? Alright, so x equals 8. We have 6 times 8 is 48. 48 minus 4 gives us 44 here. 5 times 8 is what? 40 plus 4 gives us 44. So both of our answers are 44 degrees. Okay, so the only trick to these kind of problems is to make sure that two of the pairs of angles match already so that the third one can match as well. Is anyone still ready? Alright, last one. We already know that W's are equal right here. The two angles with the vertex of U are equal right here. So what other angles have to be equal as well? And what's the reason for that? Third angles theorem. Yep. We're going to be using that one. Third angles theorem. If two are equal, then the third one as well. So that means that 10n minus 2 is equal to 9n plus 9. Solve it and plug it in. Go. What'd you get? N equals 11. Yep. What does T equal? 108. 108. Good. And B would equal the same thing because they're equal to each other. Third angles are equal. Any questions? So right now, turn the page